Madam Mayor, it is 9:04 and we are live. Can you hear me or no?
Yeah, I can. Now I can hear you.
Oh, okay. It's 9:04 and we are live.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the pre-agenda workshop of January 30th for the meeting of February 3rd. May I have the roll call, please?
Mayor Betty Resch.
Here.
Vice Mayor Sarah Maliga.
Present.
Commissioner Christopher McVoy is absent. Commissioner Mimi May. You're muted, Commissioner, but I see her. Commissioner Anthony Segrich.
Present.
Right, thank you. Good morning. Thank you very much, everybody. It's the agenda workshop. Three of us were gone all week, so I'm just getting the book recently. So who wants to start comments on the agenda? Three of us were gone. There are changes to the, I see that there are changes to the second reading. Oh, Mr. Segrich, I see your hands up. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to chat a little bit about, let's see, what is it? Unfinished Business A. The agreement with Chen Moore and Associates to undertake the landscape code update, including design guidelines for installation and maintenance. So I've got a couple of questions. One, was this bid out to see if multiple vendors wanted to help us with this?
Good morning, William Waters, Community Sustainability Director. This falls under a CC&A type of activity because it's planning work, and we already have a contract with Chen Moore. This is the last year that we will have them. I'm not sure if my video is working. I'm having some issues with my computer as well at home. But it was competitively bid to choose Chen Moore as our planning consultant.
Okay.
I think it was 4 years ago, and their contract will be ending this year, and we will go out for another competitive bid process, just like the planning consultant for the city later this year.
Sure.
That's correct.
So in looking at it, basically the order of operations is they're going to meet with staff. Staff's going to give them a whole bunch of feedback, and they're going to do a bunch of work and then come back to us as the commission. Personally, I would like to see what staff is recommending on this. This is a super hot topic amongst our constituents, and not trying to disparage anybody, but the existent treatment of this section of our code and our existing interpretations of it, a lot of constituents and business owners feel it's been weaponized against them. And I would not be comfortable paying anyone without us first seeing what staff is actually directing Chen Moore to do to this section of code. I think that we on the commission need to understand what they're being asked to do, because this could go in a very good direction. It could also go in a very bad direction in the eyes of our constituents.
I think we should have public input if we're going to redo the landscape. I would think that would be part of the process, wouldn't it?
It's part of the last part of the process. And so I fear that we're going to have another situation like we did with the parking. Also, looking at the handling of the K Street garage, I know I've asked for some numbers on the budget and so on, and they're coming and they're being worked on. But Chen Moore was selected to basically project manage that project, and up until now they have no clue how much they spent with third-party contractors. So I'm just not comfortable with this whole process. So I think staff should be bringing us what they're asking them to do first, because we set the policy, we set the guidelines, we set the direction. And in this case, we're going to spend $140,000, and at the end of it, we're going to hear what staff's policy and direction is, not the other way around. That's just kind of my feelings on it. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on it as well.
Mimi's got her hand up.
Mimi didn't mean to have her hand up.
Oh, well, what'd you like to say about landscape?
Do I have
Anything?
my hand up?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't.
Oh, you know what? The hand is on. Never mind. My cursor was on your name, and it was a hand. So
Oh, I was like, I don't think so. But I can chime in.
yeah,
Um, I,
please.
I think that, and I just want a point of clarification regarding something that Commissioner Segrich said regarding the K Street Garage. I don't know if the entire Chenmore company is the project manager or anything for the K Street. I think we just had hired specifically Brent Whitfield to
Right.
do it.
He's
And
our project.
to be our kind of go-between. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. City Manager.
No, it started out with just Brent, but we also have Lance and Lily, so we have not just Brent. Um, because I guess as the scope kind of expanded, we realized we needed more than just one. So it's more than just him.
Oh, okay. All right. So I apologize, Commissioner Segrich. I didn't realize that we had grown in that way with that project. So with that being said, I kind of agree with you that because everybody and their mother is going to have something to say about this. So it doesn't make any sense to put that last because that's been the way we do it. And I kind of get that because, staff will do their work and let the professionals work. But I think I think we need to listen to the constituents or at least have them tell us, you know, and so that we can pass it on. But I worry just procedurally the order of operations. I agree with that because I don't want to have something come out and then everybody lose their minds.
A good idea. I agree with it. What I think we need to know though is, what is the current landscape? If people are going, what are they going to, what input are they going to have if they know the landscape code and the changes that they're looking for, or is it just where we just have to have some guidelines, some parameters for them to even understand, look what's going on. What if people are unhappy? You said they're weaponizing the landscape code. What does that mean, Mr. Secretary?
I mean, businesses have been denied business license over shrubbery. It's been used to
because they have to have shrubbery. Because they have to have shrubbery
in a warehouse. Yeah, in our industrial park of commerce, in a warehouse, in an area that normal people wouldn't walk through there thinking, "Wow, this place has to be beautifully landscaped." Business licenses have been delayed for months over shrubbery in an existing building. There's been the whole debacle with artificial turf, where it wasn't banned by our code, yet staff testified in magistrate meetings that it was 100% banned. There is a lot of distrust about this. And before I would sign off on anything, I want to know what direction is being given to this consultant. What's the policy being set? In my view is that I think a lot of the landscape code needs to be loosened and that's the feedback that I'm getting from almost every one of my constituents. I'm not talking to a single resident here who says, you know what, we need more of this landscape code. There's a point system in here that no one can figure out. No normal resident can even figure out the point system. I've sat and gone through and spent pretty much, it takes about 3 hours to go through and understand whether or not your house is in compliance or not. I would throw out a rough guess and say about 60%, maybe even 80% of our households are out of compliance per our landscape code. And when you have a situation like that, it means the code it doesn't fit. So I really, before we do anything and spend any taxpayer dollars, I want to know what we're recommending. Because I personally have a ton of feedback in this particular section. That's coming from constituents, myself, business owners. in terms of its application, its interpretation, and its overreach, in my opinion.
That makes sense to me. I mean, if I give a test and most people fail, most of my kids fail, it's not the kids. I did something wrong.
Yeah, and I've not had the same kind of feedback that you had, Mr. Segrich. Whoops, I don't know what just happened here. I mean, I know that there are times where people, who, complained about the code is too strict. We don't, as long as we don't let landscaping, whether it's a warehouse, in a warehouse district, green stuff is still important overall. It's not just visual, it's also for the planet, it's also for, animals and stuff. So I don't think, I would like, I don't want, just as we don't lessen the requirements. I think landscaping is important, and it's sometimes people can feel it's onerous to have it, but I don't, I would object if we started loosening the requirements, but we can take a look.
We've had people cited for the color of their planters.
That's not landscaping.
I don't think our city should be deciding the color of people's planters on.
No, I'd agree with you, obviously.
But that's, you said, you haven't gotten this feedback. I think you have, from.
I know one person that she had to
it's just-
paint her rain barrels, and landscaping is not, I'm not arguing with you. I don't object to us knowing about it beforehand. Sarah. Ms. Malega? Is your hand up?
Hang up. Yes, my phone wouldn't unmute.
Okay.
I agree with overreach, but I also agree that, landscaping is beautification. And that's all we talk about in the city is beautification and being environmentally friendly. So I do agree that we need to be the driving force from listening to all of the residents, not a handful of residents, and use
Right.
common sense. Let's look at what other cities are doing and think about what do we want the city to look like in 10 years from now? And 10 years from now, if you want it to be as barren as it is now, well, then you lax the code. But in 10 years from now, if you want more lush greenery and shade, then we don't lax the code, but maybe we give more direction on what people need to plant and to beautify the city. I don't think it's an overreach in giving guidance. I think there has to be a balance with
You're
this
breaking up, you broke
conversation.
up.
There has to be a balance with this conversation.
Segrich?
I'm done.
Okay, Mr. Segrich, I see your hands up, and then, Mr. Brown, let's go to staff.
Well, I was just going to ask Commissioner Segrich. So what is the? You obviously see what the item is for next Tuesday. So what is the ask? Are you asking for a change in the scope, or what exactly are we looking for here?
I wouldn't bring this forward until we see exactly what staff is recommending. So, I mean, I'm a no vote on it until I know what's being recommended as given their direction. What's the policy being given these people? For example, to Commissioner Malega's point, I do agree that there are areas of our city that do need beautification. I think we do things a little too monolithically. I think, how we want our downtown to look is not how necessarily we want our neighborhoods to look, and it's not necessarily how we want our industrial district to look. So, and beyond that, the whole first part of this item says that staff is giving direction to Trend More. Well, I'd like to see what's that direction, and if it's great, if it's good, then great, let's proceed. But if it's not in line with the policies that we want to see on the commission, then I don't want to proceed. So,
Well, we could
I
proceed.
can tell you until I see that, I'm a no vote.
Okay, although we could pass this and then hold off with them doing anything until we do get the feedback from Jen Moore. Ms. May?
It looks to me where it says that, and as the mayor said, we just got these today, so we're just looking at this here. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought, but it looked to me where it says that Chen Moore will undertake a full review of the landscape code. to prepare a professional proposal to undertake a thorough review of the landscape code. Staff collaborated with, oh, okay, so we've already done the proposal, then we've approved the tree penalty stuff, so now we're actually getting into the weeds of, so it looks like staff's already collaborated with them to prepare to do this. So what was done in the preparation, I guess, in order for our Chenmore to begin this, I guess is my first question. And then my second question is, how can we do this so that we have feedback, but it's also practical in its essence of going through the process? Because I don't want to look at the end product and say we should have done this differently. So I kind of agree with Anthony, but I'd like to hear what Jamie says regarding where are we in this process and what exactly are we voting on Tuesday? What's the next step that we're voting on? I'm done.
Mr. Brown? I think
Yeah, hey, William, can you kind of summarize like how we got here, like where we're at right now, and basically what we're looking to roll into right now?
Sure. As Commissioner Cedric mentioned, we've had some struggles over the years in applying the code, enforcing the code, explaining the code when it comes to landscape. It has not been significantly updated or reviewed, I believe, in 18 years. And so as more questions and more concerns came about, especially after Dave McGrew left the city, who was around when it was originally put together, we felt that it was a good time to review the ordinance, look and see what best practices were in Florida, update it to reflect there have been changes in the species that we don't want to have. There have been changes in what kinds of plants are acceptable, trees, shrubbery, ground cover. We are moving forward with making some alterations and an ordinance amendment to deal with artificial turf, when it can be in the landscape, when it cannot be in the landscape. And we've not given them any direction in terms of what our preset policy. We're not going in this in a prejudicial way. We're open and have asked them to just evaluate where we stand in terms of best practices in Florida. How does our ordinance look when it comes to other communities nearby or near us? What suggested changes from their landscape division will be appropriate for the city, taking into account what we already have involved in our major thoroughfare design guidelines or historic preservation design guidelines, input from the Tree and Landscape Board, input from stakeholders, and then bring to you at some point a menu of things that you would like to see incorporated in probably an entirely new landscape code.
Mr. Segret, your reaction to that?
Yeah, I still think that we need to set a direction for them. We're handing over to a consultant or essentially what William's saying. Here it is, guys. You tell us what to do. That's not what our residents want. I think overwhelmingly our residents and our businesses feel this particular section of the code is been used against them and is overreaching. And to me, I don't care what Boca Raton does in their city. I don't care what Delray does in their city in this regard in terms of the landscape code. Sarah does have a great point. What do we want our city to look like? We have a vast majority of properties that aren't even conforming to what we have.
Right.
And we're going to pay a whole bunch of money just to get a whole bunch of new rules that aren't even going to be enforced.
May I interject, Commissioner? And I think there's a confusion. Unless someone's doing substantial improvement to their property, the landscape under which their original work was approved is what stands. Yes, we have a lot of non-conforming properties that don't meet the current landscape code, but unless they're undertaking a major substantial improvement to their property or new construction, they abide by the landscape plan approvals that were in place when they originally got put in, done. What we're finding is that lots of properties are not maintaining the landscape that was approved on their properties 20, 30 years ago. We're not asking them to come up to the current code of the landscape. We're asking them to at least maintain and improve and have their landscape as it should have been maintained all along. Because
That's
most
actually-
of our properties could not meet the current landscape code no matter what happens because they've got too much impermeable surface.
I mean, you're also omitting the fact that every time somebody applies for a business license or a business license renewal in our city, they get slammed with this.
What do you mean slam?
They get violations, a whole laundry list of them. And it's because of the way that we do code enforcement.
Well,
We take the action
I would
order.
love to know some examples of what you're talking
I
about.
can give you examples. Our code, and you have the policy direction that you can change it. We have a use and occupancy inspection, which states that a property should be in full code compliance before it can be issued a business license, which means that whatever landscape plan was there when the building was built or when it was improved should still be in place. And many properties have not maintained their landscape. They haven't maintained their buildings. They haven't maintained their parking lot. And before business license can be issued per the policy of 3 commissions ago, the property needs to be in full compliance with the code. And that is causing a lot of heartache, a lot of delay, and a lot of expense across the whole board of the city.
And it's not, to be fair, it's not just based on what their landscape plan was years ago. Residential rentals don't have a landscape plan, and code enforcement goes in and cites them on all sorts of stuff, including the color of their pots. And it's not just the rain barrels situation. There are several that I've been made aware of.
Some examples would be really helpful. I mean, I just have to say, I'm not doubting you, but it's like you see, evidence is helpful.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. If you want to sit there and deny that this is going on in our city when
I'm not
water is
denying it. I'm
telling
just
you-
saying, you're making a very broad statement, okay? And I'm not arguing. I mean, I'm aware of problems that we've had.
If you'd like, we could delay this and I'll come back with 100 examples for you. All I have to do is walk into City Hall, into those stack of code enforcement violations that we have there. And I guarantee there's a ton of them. And I guarantee a lot of them weren't returning to the original landscape plan for that particular property. It's, the bottom line for me, this is a very sensitive topic for our business owners, for our residents. And, we need to set a direction, not just say to a consultant, hey, take a look and give us the best practices. I was a consultant for years. Consultants almost never make it easier. They perfect what's there. And an example of why I fear this so much, we're going to be voting on in terms of the tree ordinance. When I originally brought the tree ordinance issues to staff, it was because I felt, and a number of people felt, that they were ambiguous. And even staff and our attorneys admitted they were ambiguous. And we had a certain direction that we wanted to see, and staff went in the complete opposite direction. And we corrected it as a commission, but I don't want to have to get to an end product here and then have to change it 180 degrees.
I don't think anyone's disagreeing with you.
So, I think it's premature to go into this without understanding what is the direction these guys are given. If the direction is just, hey guys, take a look at it and tell us best practices, I don't want to waste taxpayer dollar on that. I think they need direction.
Ms. Malega? Sarah?
Thank you. So being a business owner at the entrance into our city for over 10 years, I will tell you that I never got cited, never got coded. And I think that it is important to hold business owners accountable, because as a business owner, you're supposed to be adding to the beautification of our city. I don't care if you're in the industrial park or if you're on South G Street. It all plays together, and we all need to be community partners. That's like saying that we shouldn't hold business owners accountable to clean up behind their alley. Yes, we should. We should all take part. This shouldn't just be on the backs of staff to clean up after people. We have codes, and I agree. If somebody was approved their plan with a certain landscape code, and they decide that they're not going to keep up their shrubbery or they're not going to water their lawn because they don't want to pay the water bill, that's part of doing business. But I also agree with Anthony that this needs to be driven by us and the residents, not by a consultant. And also, was this in the budget for, I don't remember this line item in the budget for this department.
It's coming as a budget amendment, a second budget amendment on the 17th, if you approve moving forward with it. This
Okay, so
came
now,
up.
so,
after-
Okay, so, all right,
hang on, so
let's,
now hang on, so now we're talking about something that we did not plan in budget.
right.
And that is more concerning to me than the other concerns that Mr. Segrich brought up. We need to not just throw things into the pile because 3 or 4 people may think that they're having a problem. And I really agree. I mean, right now we need to be careful and not spend money. We've had many consultants bring us mobility plans and landscape plans, and then we turn around and we do an about face. So because this commission has been, and I'm going to be very honest,
So, okay, so do we want to go?
teeter-totter on what we approve and what we don't.
Here,
We
I mean,
approve something on
Anthony,
second
what-
reading.
Let her
Can I
No, no,
finish.
finish? Please.
If we're gonna,
Can I finish, please? We have given direction, had staff come back for second readings and then go, I've given this other thought. Let's not do that. I don't want to keep doing that.
Mhm.
So let's just stop where we are, not do a budget amendment, because I'm not in favor of that at all, because we did not discuss this before budget.
Mhm.
That's it. That's all I got.
I'm not hearing her.
Madam Mayor.
She's frozen. I think Jamie or I am.
I'm not hearing.
No, I think the mayor's frozen.
Sarah. So, Mr.
oh,
Brown,
Yeah,
Doug,
all I
where
was
do you
gonna
want to
say
go from here?
we can easily pull this item, just like with many things. And as William had discussed, when we identify problems, we know there are issues. Like you said, it hasn't been updated, which is 17, 18 years. Again, it's something we bring forward. If it's something you guys want to keep working on, it's nothing we're going to knock out in a couple weeks. It's going to take time to do this. We identified it. If it was something you guys wanted to move forward with and start working on, since everyone pretty much knows this does need to be updated, we would put it in the budget amendment that was coming forward anyway. If you guys don't want to address it right now, then we won't. That's we bring these things forward to see if you guys want to tackle the items, and if you want to push it off, that's fine too. We have no problem pulling this item at all. We just need some direction on what you want to do, and if you want to kick this to next year or the year after, or whenever you guys want to get around to it, that's fine. Just let us know. But we have no issue pulling this item from next Tuesday's agenda if that's the direction you guys want to take.
Okay. Mr. Segrich?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I take severe offense to that categorization that we want to kick this down the road. What we're saying is we want to do this properly. I agree wholeheartedly with Commissioner Malega. We didn't
And
budget.
how,
for this. Hold on.
okay, so
We
I just want, how do you want to go forward? That's my question.
how do I want to go forward? I want to see staff in their backup. They say they've collected, they've had issues. Mr. Waters recognizes there are issues in our code with our landscape code. What is that? If it's living in somebody's head and not in a document, write it down and get it to us. If it's in documentation, share it with us so we can talk to our constituents about it, and so that we can have an informed decision and we can set policy moving forward. I'm also really pissed that, like Commissioner Malega said, this wasn't even in the budget. And we had a lot of talk in the last couple of commission meetings of how much time staff is dedicating to X, Y, or Z based on this request or that request. Well, how the hell is staff working on something that's not even in the budget? I really, and we have a list of things that we've brought forth as commissioners as we want to get things done. Here's what they are. We've been prioritizing that with staff, yet we have a non-budgeted item fully coming before us, asking to spend almost 150 grand. I don't understand how that happens.
Okay.
And
Ms. May?
to say that we want to kick it down the road is insulting. I want to tackle this. I've brought forth many things that have been wrong with the landscape code as I've found them, and we've worked on them, and we're accomplishing one with the tree ordinance, in this very meeting. So it's not that we don't want to tackle this, Jamie. It's that there's a process. We don't want to hire I shouldn't say we. I don't want to hire a consultant when it's not budgeted. I don't want to hire a consultant when there's no clear direction. I want to make, if staff says they have this aggregation of all these issues and there's things that they recognize as wrong, well, let's see that. There's no reason they can't provide that to us. And then we can look at it and go, you know what, guys, this is wonderful. We should do every single one of these things you're suggesting. Or we can look at it and go, I'm hearing something a little bit different about this section, you know, and then we can veer and have discussions and set policy. And then if we even need a consultant, because I don't necessarily know if we need a consultant to tell us what's wrong with our own city landscape code, then we go down that route. The only time I think we should be hiring a consultant for this is if we don't have the bandwidth to actually rewrite this code. I don't think, you know, we need a consultant to tell us about tree mulching. We can get that feedback from staff. We have very astute staff. They've done a great job with this. And a lot of the times I bring up an issue, I'm pleasantly surprised where staff's like, yeah, no, we've already have an opinion on this. We've been dealing with this for years. We know exactly where the holes are here. And, you know, then we try to fix it. So, you know, I'm really offended that it's, oh, we'll pull it and we'll just kick it down the road. For me, that's bull crap. That's not what's going on here.
Well, I don't know how
Mrs.
else
May?
to really. Well, I'm sorry.
I'll listen to Jamie because I was kind of going to say the same thing. That was a pretty dismissive remark.
No, I feel that when we hear multiple things from multiple elected officials, we feel that's something that probably needs to be addressed. But given that it wasn't something that was budgeted, as William said, if this is something you guys wanted to move forward with, we would have to bring it forward on a budget amendment. And again, also, they are CCNA, Competitive Contractor Negotiation Act. This is already competitive bid. Staff, we haven't put a lot of time in this as far as trying to lay a lot of stuff out. These people are already under contract. So it's just a matter of doing a task order to hire them. If, again, this isn't something you want to move forward with right now, we don't have to do the task order. We don't have to do the budget amendment. But I
Okay,
don't know.
but why have we not talked about this in our one-on-ones? That's saying, Commissioner May, we're thinking about putting this on the agenda. How do you feel about this? Not how do you vote on it, but do you think that this is something that we should go forward with and spend our time doing? You know, I think that those conversations, I don't know if they've happened with the other commissioners, but they haven't happened with me.
As far as needing to address some of the things in our landscape code, I mean, I'm not going to talk about what happens in the one-on-ones, but there have been conversations that, you know, from that you've gotten from constituents and people talk about the landscape code, different things, different citations, knowing
All right,
things did. So those
Okay.
conversations have happened.
No, I understand that, but I guess my point was the conversation of we're gonna go out and have Chen Moore go over this whole thing, which is, you know, it is a solution. But is it the solution that we start with, I guess is my question.
And that's why I'm saying, where should we go from here? I mean, Anthony, you've obviously got people that you have examples of things. The staff apparently has examples of things. Why don't we sit down, maybe have a workshop, sit down with and have constituent input and say, okay, here's what we identify as the problems. You know, how do we address those problems before
And that's all we need. We just want to
we
know what.
do engage a consultant?
Oh, I'm sorry. You kept freezing, Mayor. I didn't just. Madam Mayor. I think she froze.
Something's wrong
I
with my
think
thing.
she-
I'm not hearing.
I think she
Yeah,
froze again.
You guys just let us know how do you want to move forward. You know, if you guys want to do a workshop, just let us know what you would like us to do. But again, it's not some budget. It's something you guys want us to address or use one of our CCNA firms to start that process because it will be a long process. Just let us know how you want to move forward. We'll move in that direction.
I think the mayor's frozen again.
I think she just logged off.
So we can't hear you.
Mayor,
You're muted.
You're on mute.
She's
Hi,
frozen.
no, I'm house and the internet is not as good. So who was talking?
I
William,
would just- Yeah, I just want to say that this is why a strategic plan and sticking to it is very important and imperative. I've been bringing this up over the last year and a half. And I feel like we make decisions that are not in the silo like Carmen had us doing. Here's the strategic plan. Here's what you do in the silo to get to that strategic plan. And right now, I just feel like we're playing whack-a-mole. When problems come up, we're trying to solve it. And that's not how we're supposed to be running the business in the city. So I really would like it. And I know this is off topic, but we wouldn't be having this discussion if we were sticking to the strategic plan that was laid out for the city, instead of playing whack-a-mole and listening to certain people's complaints and fixing their complaints and then going over here and taking care of those complaints. That's not how we're supposed to be running the city.
So where do we go from here? Mr. Segers?
So specifically, what I would suggest is, since, you know, it's in the backup that staff has some sort of aggregation of a lot of history on these are the issues, staff give us a report on that, and we can discuss in our one-on-ones and see where that fits in to our other priorities. And we absolutely do not move forward with any more unbudgeted consultants. I understand that they are, you know, or they won the competitive bid and they're our consultant of choice, but, you know, and I agree with Commissioner Malega about following the strategic plan, but, you know, we also have to stop consulting ourselves to death. You know, it seems like every single thing that's somewhat difficult or somewhat challenging, we send out to the consultants. And at some time, we have to trust that our staff can actually get that done as well. So I would basically table this item, ask staff to come back with their report that they were going to provide, you know, Chen Moore with, hey, these are all the issues that we're seeing. Here's the deficiencies. And then we get it back, you know, on an agenda if it's something, you know, particular sections we want to tackle.
And I think if we're, great idea. Maybe we should have a workshop on this at some point, but I think also if we have, you know, obviously we get feedback from our constituents, let us bring those complaints, those issues as well, not just the staff, but let's work together to do that. Okay. So we're going to pull it from the agenda. Folks, Mimi, Anthony, Sarah.
You're breaking up. I don't know what you just said.
I know.
Consent.
Oh,
I consent.
are we okay? Consensus to pull it from the agenda.
I can
Yes.
Okay, as well as the budget item, which about on that line item. About
Yes.
I consent.
All right. So, okay. All right. So we have that, but let's also just not forget about it. Let's, you know, maybe make it a time that things to the staff and the staff brings things to us.
I would suggest that,
Anthony?
you know, I would ask William, you know, the one question is, you know, do these suggestions, do these issues, is that knowledge in a format now that can be shared, or is it something you have to aggregate? And if so, how long will that take?
So it's a combination of both, Commissioners. At the redo of the first reading for the tree penalty ordinance, I mentioned to all of you that we had obtained a proposal from our consultant to evaluate the landscape code, since it had been such a long time. And the consensus at that meeting was to move forward with that proposal. That's what this agenda item is. We do have a list of issues in terms of how you maintain landscape, what is the appropriate landscape, the confusion item of trying to figure out whether you meet the landscape code or not, which you mentioned earlier in today's meeting, are all issues that have arisen over time. And we've also found that the landscape code is not as easy to implement if we don't have somebody on staff who is directly experienced and trained in the landscape area. And we have not had a landscape planning position filled since October of 2024, I think. And we still don't have that position filled. And so we've been relying on consultants from Chen Moore and their landscape division to help us evaluate when code cases arise in terms of trees removed without permits or hat racking or those sort of things. But in looking at it broadly over the years, I've not necessarily agreed with the interpretation or enforcement of our code by our past landscape planning people. Everything is treated the same. Well, not every tree should be treated the same. And so from a best practices standpoint, since we have what's called small trees, medium trees, large trees in our code, how are each of those evaluated and treated? And based on the tree type, what would be considered hat racking for one would not be considered hat racking for another. The other part that comes up, and I think Mr. Cedric alluded to this, our code, not necessarily a landscape code, does require that your yard be grassed or mulched or covered with ground cover. I have tried for 2 years to get an implementation schedule. Like if you pick this plant, how many plants do you have to plant at what center that would constitute ground cover? I have been unable to get that. So code compliance is left trying to figure out, well, when do we actually achieve ground cover or not? Is it when it actually is fully done? And in some cases, it may take 6 months or a year based on what you've planted before you have ground cover. But if we had a schedule, which was this implementation guideline would have, if you choose this potato plant at a certain size, say 2 quarts, and you plant them at 24 inches on center, when you've got that done, you've achieved ground cover. That's the sort of thing we need: clear, concise, quantifiable items in the code so that people can understand them and code compliance can understand them and they can be easily enforced and implemented. We don't have that right now. And we haven't had it for almost 20 years.
Mayor, are you there? Mayor?
Again, not. But we
I'm
Maybe
having
you need to
I
call-
didn't hear a word.
Mayor, can you call in-
I'm sorry,
Can you call in from your phone? It's your computer. All right, Anthony, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, so, Mr. Waters, would it be fair to say, by the end of February, could you
there we go.
get to the commission, a report of these concerns and issues that you guys have identified and gathered over these years, the deficiencies, not super specific of, this has to change to this or that, but pointing out these sections and what's the general issue with it? Would that be a fair ask of you?
I'm pretty sure I can have it to you by the end of next week.
Okay. So, that would be a wonderful start to this, because, I do want.
Can we also bring our own examples?
Yeah.
I didn't understand what she just said.
She asked for
Can we
example.
bring our own examples of issues that we've had from city residents?
Yeah. So I think that's a great way of proceeding. Whenever Mr. Waters can get that knowledge to us, then we can reprioritize and go from there. And he says by the end of next week. I think let's give him 2 weeks, just because stuff happens, right? People get busy. So if by mid-February, by February 15th, if we could have that, I think we can move forward, with what we want to do.
And give some direction.
Yeah.
Sarah?
Thank you. On the same subject but different, Jamie, can you please have the PIO do a public announcement about the trees and the update on them for the Lake and Lucerne, please?
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Mr. Waters, your hand is up.
Yeah, I was going to just clarify that if you're okay with like a little white paper memo outlining the various components that we're not happy with or we're having trouble, that I feel that it will be done well before February 15th.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. All right. What else do people want to talk about?
We got the open space master plan on the agenda.
Yeah, just looking at that. Having a couple meetings back to back and being out of town is not the easiest.
Can we talk about and just the new business B? Because there's many parts to this, which is the budget amendments. So if whoever put this together could kind of go over it, like just kind of summarize it real quick so that we can figure out. Like, it's a lot of stuff on here.
Yes, Yannick here with finance. So most of these items were previously approved, and we even I think part of the backup is the staff reports for the items that were approved.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yes. So I think the only item, the biggest one I think is the option B for the parking garage upgrade, which was about 1.3 million. And then the new item that's on there that I can think of is the additional roof repair. And Jamie or William can help me, can talk more about that. It's about 300 and something 80,000. That was not part of the budget. It just came in, I want to say, like a month ago.
Jamie?
We talking about 1900 with Yannick?
Yes.
Yeah, I can cover that. Do you mind, Madam Mayor?
Please.
Oh, so with the renovation that's happening over at 1900 Second Avenue North, the portion that's being added on to for community sustainability, instead of only doing the roofing and everything in that particular area, it makes sense to actually tackle the entire roof and get it all done at one time for that building. So after getting with the roofing contractor, kind of looking at some different pricing and everything and seeing what we had to do as far as a full system, it made sense to do it all at once. So we decided to add that to the amendment to see if that was something you guys would approve of, instead of trying to piece the roof into different parts.
So it'd be a complete redo of the 1900 roof.
That's correct, all at one time, instead of trying to do.
Did anybody hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Mr. Segrich?
I think Sarah had her hand up first.
Thank you, Anthony. I would like an update on that overall project. I feel that the budget's getting away from where it was. I want to make sure that we're micromanaging that, and I don't really like to use that term, but that is a huge project, and I want to make sure that we're making ample use of all the square footage that we have, that there's adequate office sizes, that we're not overspending in certain particular tiles or whatever. I just think that we need oversight on that project. I agree with the roof because the roof is necessary, but I would like an overall update on the project.
And that's why I do want to clarify that the portion outside of the footprint of the actual community sustainability project is not coming out of that project. That would be the city facilities budget and in the overall it's not part of the budget that you guys saw for the community sustainability project. So I just wanted to make sure that was clear.
I kind of agree, though. I would like an update and an overview of exactly what is being done and what it costs.
Commissioner May?
Yeah.
In addition to what was approved as far as the project itself a couple months ago, I think it was back in October and November of last year, because that laid out the scope and the actual cost for everything. And
I mean, I think it could just be in our one-on-one, Jamie, but I feel like I don't have a good grasp of what's actually happening. And that could be by me, and it probably is, but I would definitely like some clarification. So I apologize if that's a oversight on my part.
No, we can do depending on what if you guys want like quarterly updates, we can kind of let you guys know where we're at as far as the schedule and the sequence of construction, and if we're on schedule, if we've fallen behind because of X, Y, or Z, it's construction, things happen, or if we're ahead of schedule and where we're kind of tracking. So
Budget as a budget being followed.
Yeah.
Well, and also my concern, Jamie, not that I don't trust staff or trust you. I know that there's a rising cost in construction cost right now of materials. And I want to make sure that we are in line with where we thought we would be. And that if something's coming in to the city manager's office, because there was a 10% increase on this and a 15% increase on that, it all starts to add up and then the trains ran away. So I just, because of what's happening with tariffs and construction and lumber, I would really just like it, even if like Commissioner May just said on one-on-ones.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, you know, contingencies built in every project, but if that's
I am
going to
so
exceed for some reason, what the contingency is
sorry.
for no
This is your-
back anyway. But yeah, that's no problem.
Mayor and Commissioners, it's William, but I want to remind everyone, we have
Go
a
ahead.
fixed price contract. So all of the finished selections, all the work that we selected as part of the design process in 2023, which was bid in 2025, are all fixed. The only issues that would come up, we have unknown or unforeseen circumstances. We had a couple little bumps with electrical, but they weren't significant. And so those prices will not change unless a item becomes unavailable and they have to pick a substantially similar. We have an architect doing construction administration to ensure it's the same quality, and and based on how their contract is written, it should fall within the same price range as what was already approved under the contract.
Mr. Segridge.
Thank you, Mayor. You know, I'm a little concerned that we didn't recognize that we needed a new roof. That seems to be something that I would expect during the due diligence and design phase of the project that would have been determined. Granted, this has been going on for a number of years, so we just might not have gone back and revisited, right? In its condition deteriorated, but almost $400,000 is a significant increase in the cost of this project. I think the overall cost was 2.9 or $3 million. So you're dealing with almost a 20% issue here. We voted on it. I voted against it. I'm just really concerned that we're throwing good money into bad with this building. It's the umpteenth time we've kind of changed it and reconfigured it, but if it has to get done, it has to get done. The other concern is, you know, anything to do with the K Street garage and budgets and approvals of that. I asked over a month ago for what the exact numbers are to date, and the response from our project manager was they didn't know, and they are working on it. And I talked to Jamie about it and Troy, and it's coming, you know, so we will all get those numbers. But the fact that we're running a multi-million-dollar project and somebody doesn't know at the drop of a hat what the budget is and where they are in that budget, how much we paid, how much we've been billed, is very, very concerning. It's nice to hear with this project that it's fixed price, because that takes a lot of the worry out of it, right? But, you know, with these large projects and so on, it seems like whenever we ask, are we on track with the budget? Are we not on track with the budget? The answer is, I don't know. And it's going to take me about a month to get you that information. And moving forward, we can't have that. And so that's my big concern with these particular projects. There are multi-million-dollar construction projects, and it seems like we don't understand what's going on in a way that in a private sector, you'd have a project manager. And if you walked onto that job site as the owner of that building or the investor in that, and you said, hey, project manager, let's look at where we are on track with the budget, and they didn't have that, they'd be instantly fired. You know, where we're on track with budgets in multi-million-dollar construction projects should not be something that's a guessing game or something we have to go find out. They need to be ran, and getting an update on it quarterly, that's too long of a time. You know, what we're asking for, I don't believe is a big ask. It's something that should be standard operating procedure with large projects like this. This is how large projects go crazily awry. So it gives me pause that we have such a large expense coming that we didn't foresee in this project. And it also gives me pause about allocating any more funds to the K Street parking garage until we know that it's being managed properly.
Mr. Brown.
So I guess multiple things. So you guys do have an update coming either on the second meeting in February or the first meeting in March on the garage and everything. With the number is 222,000 of the soft cost of the 750 has been spent to date. We are currently putting all of that information into a format that's easily understandable because the format that it's in and what we receive from the third parties and everything is not it's not easy to decipher exactly what it is if you don't know what you're looking at. So we're putting it into an easy format so it's easy for everyone to understand. As far as the roof, we knew that the roof was going to need to be done within the next 2 years or so, 2 to 3 years. Um, Again, this project has kind of gone on for a little while here. So like a lot of our older facilities, we've had to band-aid over the years and patch and patch and patch and all this other stuff. Since this project did get approved and it was going forward, it made sense from a financial standpoint because you save on the cost of mobilization and everything else if you can have the entire thing done at one time instead of waiting a year and a half from now or putting it in the budget for 27 or for 28, coming back and now paying more for the roof when we were going to have roofers out there anyway. So from a financial standpoint, it makes sense. Again, if you guys don't want to move forward that's fine too. We'll have to budget for it in the next year or two. But obviously with the cost of everything and then having to do it separate, standalone, we're going to pay for an additional mobilization and everything else. So it will cost us more in the long run. So we just have a lot of facilities, like you guys are well aware that, we're having to do a lot of rehab and everything. So we unfortunately, based on our budget and what we have allocated each year, can't do it all at once. So we have to band-aid a lot of these things. But we saw an opportunity here to save on getting the roof done all at one time. So we were trying to do that.
Thank you. Sarah? And then we're going to wrap it up.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Real quick, I just, back to the strategic plan and facilities and capital improvements. I really feel that we need to go back to a clean slate with this city and say, what are the priorities? The garage is a top project. I have asked 4 times for an update myself, and have gotten the same thing. And I don't understand why we don't have all this data on a consistent Excel spreadsheet, something simple as the prices are coming in. And I'm not trying to micromanage, but as electeds, we really need to work off of our strategic plan and our capital improvement project. I understand that this is saving money, Jamie, and I thank you for that. I mean, I get it, but I don't believe that we didn't know that this facility needed a new roof, because I know that you guys did a deep dive into facilities a couple of years ago on what the needs were. And I honestly feel like our priorities are just all over the place. The Cultural Plaza has been closed. The Cultural Plaza building has been closed for 2 years and nothing is happening with that. I just think that if anything, we're going to workshop, you guys, we need to workshop our strategic plan and our capital improvement and stick to it and not do whack-a-mole anymore running the city.
I'm so frustrated because I really can't hear half of what people are saying. Mr. Segrich,
So
I see your hand is up.
yeah, I agree with Commissioner Malega. Also, again, we've asked for the information. I don't need it digested for me. I don't need it put into an easily readable format. That's just an excuse because we didn't have it. I have an email that states, we don't know what we spent on our third party consultants and contractors. Literally an email from our project manager that says that. So it's not a matter of, oh, we need to digest it into a format. They didn't know. At one point in time, they did not know. And, and I also agree with Commissioner Malega. There's no way we didn't know. And Jamie even said it. We've known for years we had to fully do the roof. And to me, it's a little dishonest to come back to the well, because now we don't have a choice, right? So we were really dealing with a $3.5 million project versus a $3 million project. And maybe that would have changed the vote. I don't know. But, piecemealing this stuff together like this is I agree, it's not a way to run a city. And not having this information is unacceptable. These are multi-million dollar I can't stress it enough. They're not being managed. There's no way you can tell me these projects are being properly managed if we don't have information that's readily available, and you got to go produce that information. That means no one's managing it. Managing means tracking these things and having them in a format that can be shared. Otherwise, how does whoever's managing it know? Are we on track? Are we on budget? Did we miss this? Are we getting ripped off? That's got to change, and it's got to change quick. You're on mute, Mayor.
This is a nightmare for me. I don't disagree with you. I think that accountability is important, and we need to be able to let our residents know where we're at with projects. So no disagreement there. Having said that, it's time to go. We can pick these conversations up, and I think the staff has heard, where folks are coming from, and let's take a look at the strategic plan and see how we are. How is it relating? How are we relating? Because we do have one that we just developed a couple of years ago. So, I agree with Sarah on that one. So, having said all that, I am going to say it's 10, a little after 10. We try to keep this to an hour. It's been a productive conversation, and we'll look forward to those landscape problems from everybody. So, thank you very much, everybody, and have a good weekend. And see you on Tuesday. Seems like a Thursday and then Tuesday. That's a rough deal, but that's what we signed up for. Thank you very much. Have a great